Jordan, good to see you. Today we're going to tackle the age-old question. Should you pay off your mortgage early or invest? Let's say someone has a pile of cash sitting in the bank right now. Perhaps they're invested in a money market fund, which is earning about 5%, which is highly likely right now. Let's talk through whether those safe returns have changed the conventional wisdom when it comes to paying off your mortgage. Before you pay it off, you say you first need to consider whether you need the liquidity.
Yeah, you don't want to take a big sum of money out of your checking or savings or money market, pay off that mortgage, and then oops, the roof needs to be replaced, or I need a new car, because then you put yourself in a bad position, and that could lead to either credit card debt or taking another home equity line of credit at higher rates. So you got to make sure, do you need this money in the short term? And if not, then look and maybe consider paying off a portion of that mortgage, but you got to look at your liquidity needs.
Interesting. All right. Next, you say you need to determine how the returns compare. So you would compare the ROI of your mortgage paydown versus investing in the market. And the return on your debt paydown is pretty straightforward. It's going to be whatever your mortgage interest rate is. And Jordan, taking a look back at historic 30-year fix, I mean, this ranges anywhere from, 8, of course, maybe now today versus where it was 3% a few years ago.
Yeah, and if we look at this chart, I mean, go back a decade or so, or a few decades, I mean, they were so much higher, but I think we got used to these low interest rates, and now it's like, oh, it's so high. Well, we need to zoom out for perspective. Overall, it's still pretty low, history speaking.
Yeah.
So we got to look at kind of what is the interest rate you have today. Maybe you have a 4% rate. Guaranteed, you can get a 5% kind of fixed rate of return. Maybe you can use that arbitrage of 1%, just to not pay it off. Or if you actually invested in the market, maybe you're more tax efficient on those investments as well, you can make 8, 9, 10%, and you're leveraging the bank's money now to make money for yourself. So your money works harder for you, so you can work less.
Mm-hmm. And now, before you invest in the market, you say you need to consider your life stage. In other words, what is your time horizon?
Yeah, so in your 20s and 30s, if you have a 30-year mortgage, you don't need to be in a rush to kind of pay off that mortgage. You would be beneficial by giving the money time in the market, investing that money, making those 7, 10+% returns, and not being so aggressive to pay down that mortgage. Now, if you're near the end of your working years and you would kind of think about paying it off, or in the last few years of paying it off, and maybe that does make sense, but you got to look at where you are in the trajectory of your time. Are you still working for 20 more years, or are you only working for 2 more years?
Mm-hmm. Next, you have to ask yourself, what are the tax implications?
Yeah, and this is a big thing. A lot of people are like, oh, get a mortgage, you're going to get a tax deduction. Well, maybe, but maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
And over the last 5 or so years, many people haven't been able to deduct the mortgage interest because they're no longer itemizing on their tax return because standard deduction's so high. So it doesn't always give you a tax benefit by having a mortgage, but you got to kind of look at it and see, even if you have money in a 5% money market account, if your tax bracket is, say, 20%, you're actually not making 5%, right? You're making close to 4% net. So that has to factor in the equation, and maybe you want to be more tax advantage when you're doing the investments, so you actually use that arbitrage in a better way for you and your family.
Mm-hmm. And then last, ask yourself, will paying off your mortgage bring peace of mind? This isn't something that can really be answered on a spreadsheet.
Yeah, this actually question trumps a lot of the technical details that we kind of just talked about. But like some people, they just want to have that mortgage paid off completely because it gives them peace of mind. They don't have to send that monthly check into the mortgage company. Or other people are like, hey, all that equity in my home, it's not doing anything for me. I want to spend money on myself. I want to make memories. I want to go travel. And they sometimes get a mortgage right before they retire because, like, I don't care about what the kids get. I want to use that equity and enjoy life. So it's going to come down to peace of mind. Do you want to just have it paid off completely? Do you want equity in your house, or do you want to kind of use all that equity and spend the money? That's up to you.
Mm-hmm. So much to consider. Clearly, no cookie cutter answer. Jordan, if somebody wants to crunch the numbers with you, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, we're happy to talk this through and make a wise decision. Our main number is 847-499-3454, and hopefully we can help you out and give you that peace of mind.
Great. Jordan, thank you.
Thanks, Aaron.